going to turn up my volume here.
Okay, and I am going to hide the. Okay, hello. We are also we are also live on Facebook and YouTube Live. Thank you, everybody, for being patient with us as we get all of this put together. But welcome to episode 2 of Amitha Studio Talks. We are here with the amazing, multidimensional, creative entrepreneur Amanda Austin, and she's going to talk to us today about NFTs. Kind of a little bit about what they are. I am still a little in the dark. A little bit about their how we feel about their implication on the arts industry and artists and all those things like that. And then a little bit about her foundation, the Omni Arts Foundation, which is really exciting also. So welcome.
Thank you. Thank you. It's, oh my gosh, for all of you like tuning in, it's amazing to work with Jillian. And we've now worked together on, this is our second project, and it's just been a breeze every time. It's such a pleasure to be here and to talk to you about this stuff. I'm super passionate about it.
Yeah, me too. I mean, I know what they are, but everything that you're involved with, everything that you're involved with is always very cool. Amanda and Amitha worked on and are currently working on some website design projects. And while we have been working on those, we've had the luxury of being able to chit chat a whole lot about different things about the arts industry and how things are evolving and where we imagine things and hoping things will be going. And so, Amanda, why don't you give us just a quick little background on yourself and the kind of things that you do and how you're involved in the industry?
Oh, sure. I think there might be like a little loading going on, but I'll just
no problem.
Yeah. So essentially, I've been a visual artist and a singer basically my whole life. I started singing when I was 8 years old, and I fell in love with classical music and opera. And the reason why I fell in love with it was because it is a total art form. It is this Gesamtkunstwerk. And, bringing multiple disciplines together, this collaborative element, community element. And so that's what kind of started me on my classical voice journey, which took me to Manhattan School of Music. And I have basically approached singing through my mentors, amazing people like Catherine Malfitano, Marlena Malis, Ray Harrell, the list goes on, of amazing people who taught me basically how to think of singing like sculpting with air. And I just fell in love with that unamplified resonance and applying it to all of the things that I learned in my training as a visual artist. And so, so I basically, in going throughout the early stages of my operatic career, I met and have continued to meet so many amazing, multifaceted artists, and yourself included, Jillian, and so many people. I mean, I think there's this notion of, categorizing our art forms and our things as, our vocation and our discipline and then our hobbies. And I want to start to create places for people who are multifaceted, to bring all of those things together, to be able to champion them, to learn the jargon that is evolving with each evolving industry. And that was the impetus for creating Omni Arts. So it was just basically a place, for people to get together and champion their multi and interdisciplinary passions.
That's amazing. Awesome. So with that being said, let's dive a little bit. We've talked a touch about, I think we might have lost. What's going on here? We might have lost the Instagram, but we can continue. Here. No, I think it's probably my fault. But let's talk a little bit about NFTs and kind of what basically they are, really briefly, and how we think that the arts community might benefit from them. There's a lot of controversy also around NFTs, but from what I understand, NFT stands for non-fungible token.
Yes.
Correct. Okay. So, and fungible meaning being able to be replicable. Fake or something, right?
Yeah. Basically, it's that it's not replicable. Right. So when you mint something on the blockchain, it becomes its own entity. I kind of like to, there's a lot of literature out there, and that's why I was really excited when you said, let's talk about NFTs, because it's a really confusing space. And I think if you're just wanting to get into the space, NFT, non-fungible token, you can also look up wallets, which is how you manage your cryptocurrency and manage your portfolio, basically, of the NFTs that you can collect and trade and sell. We have a terminology of like a DAO, which is a decentralized autonomous organization. And I'm giving all these terms, but I told Jillian before our call, I'll send you like a list of some reading material and stuff for everybody who's just like getting these terms thrown at them for you to dig deeper. And the last one is the NFT marketplaces, and that's all the places that NFTs are sold. And I think the simplest way to think of NFTs are they're a digital entity that you cannot recreate because it is on the blockchain. You can make derivative artwork, and that's where you get these amazing collections, like the very famous ones, the Bored Ape Yacht Club and CryptoPunks, right? But basically, you create these individual tokens, and then you can trade them. And there's all different kinds of applications for this, because we're seeing people who are using it for contracting. We're seeing people who are using it for their own artwork. They're just making their art NFTs, you know? Then we're also seeing people using it for creating real estate in the metaverse. I mean, there's fashion brands. There's endless things. I went to a fashion show in the metaverse and a gallery show in the metaverse in the past couple of weeks, and it's amazing. I mean, this whole notion of Web3 and this development is so cool and exciting. But the reason why I'm also excited to talk about it today is because there's a lot of mystification around it. There's a lot of literature. It's an evolving 8-year-old, so kind of pretty new community, major community. And I think that there's a lot, there have been scams and different things that you, if you're looking to invest, really need to do your homework about. But I'm really excited to talk about it from the perspective of a multidisciplinary artist trying to create multidisciplinary work and thinking of it as like a new medium.
So basically, so what would happen, and like, correct me if I'm wrong here, is an artist can create any type of like image or moving image, like a video or audio or any basic thing that can be transferred or downloaded or something like that, and sell that as an NFT and create have some sort of financial benefit, whether one time or recurring. And that type of thing can be unique and individual, or they can make several copies of it. And to have like a series. So when that happens, these are like really basic questions before we talk about like the broader implication of it. And when that and that's all paid for via cryptocurrency and all these different places you can sell it and yada yada. And when that happens, is it any different, or is it any different than like buying literally a Monet and hanging it on your wall? Because it's not something you can physically hold, but it's something digital that you own.
Yeah. So I guess the simplest way to kind of put it is that you're putting this data right onto the blockchain. Then it's created as this separate entity, and then you hold it in your wallet. So you have a digital wallet, and that showcases, whatever you've invested in. And this can be anything from ticket stubs to concerts, right? So I'm interested in using art for art's sake, right? Why not have a beautiful collection of tickets that gain you access into this community? But not all NFTs are like community project NFTs, we've seen with CryptoPunks and some of the more popular ones like that. What they basically are is an opportunity for the artist or the collective of artists to make whatever statement they want to make, to fundraise for whatever initiative they would like to make, or just to put out their artwork in that way. I actually even know some artists who are burning their real tangible artwork so that the one of one is really just the one of one.
That's amazing.
Crazy, right? Which makes it increase in value. And it's like, you have a hard time, I think, as a tangible artist myself, and somebody who values that like in-person experience and connectivity, it's really hard to wrap your head around this. But I would think of the NFT for anyone interested in exploring the community as an and instead of an or.
I love that.
Yeah, this is a new, thank you. This is like a new place, it's a new way to explore the way that we ticket. It's a new way to explore the way that we fundraise. And it just creates a community, because if you think about it from the perspective of what we're trying to do with OmniArts, I'm interested in NFTs. I'm still researching and trying to figure out, the best ways to move forward with some of our projects and really exciting ideas that I would love to share with you.
I know. I feel like we could talk about these for hours because it's just so wild.
I know.
Like even just talking about, cryptocurrency at first, and then now it's even more advanced than that.
Yeah, I know. And then there's many different kinds of cryptocurrency, sure. And there's many different kinds of NFT marketplaces. But I think if you're just getting started, Nifty Gateway, OpenSea is really like the main one that a lot of artists are using. Right. There's also like celebrity ones and ones that are run like NBA Top Shot, which kind of approaches this all from the perspective of athletes, right? And taking what would be playing cards or what would be merchandise and making it digital tokens that buy you into these athletic experiences. So it's
that's really exciting. And the way that these NFTs are bought and traded and all that kind of stuff, the artist has control over how much something sells for, how much they want to price it at. Is that true?
Yeah. So the artist, you can mint it. There's what's called a gas fee, which basically means that like when you log on to any platform that you want to mint your NFTs on, you pay the gas fee, which allows it to be created on that platform. And it's set at a price that you would like it to be. So if it's Ethereum, if it's 3 ETH, that's thousands of dollars. And then, every time that it's traded, depending on the codes within the community, you're making 10 to 20%, depending on what you want to set your trading metric at. Yeah, which is really cool because
that's the part that I think is the coolest.
Yeah. And then there's this trackable record where you can actually go and see all of these things. Yeah. And that's the security of the ledgers is through the blockchain.
I think this is all very, it's very because, you do this at OmniArts and we're doing this at Amitha's and the whole world is ostensibly doing this because of what we've been through in the performing arts industry because of COVID, but trying to think of different ways in which we can engage with audiences and create artwork and all that kind of stuff. At first, it was out of necessity for social distancing and things like that. And there not being any live performing opportunities. And now mostly out of like curiosity and creativity. But the fact that we can do all of these things now and then have this other avenue of a way to let people have access to our art, or let's say we're thinking about ways to make like physical CDs aren't really a thing that people want to buy anymore, but including some sort of NFT with the purchase of something physical can really it can create all these different dimensions of ways that artists can give some sort of artwork to their audiences, even if normally they're doing things via live performance or their merchandise is otherwise, not usually very popular. It's very cool. So talk a little bit more about what the implications of NFTs you think are for not only performing artists, but for, just the arts industry in general. Obviously, people can make art and sell things and monetize it, right? So there's the really obvious implication there. But anything else do you think that's like a little deeper, that kind of more broad stroke?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I think that a lot of people are talking about their wallets as key identifiers of who they are. And, we do this all in the way that we signal in our clothing, in our gestures, right? In the way that we present ourselves. These are all ways that we have physically identified. And now they're doing this in a digital way where you can say, oh, my community is this group of people. We believe in this. I've become a member of this community. I now have people that I'm talking to on Discord and Clubhouse and via text that open up possibilities for partnerships, collaborations that never would have really been possible before.
Right.
Because everything can happen in this digital space, and that's super exciting. But outside of the traditional, let's just look at it from the artist and not like the trading card, vantage point, right? Let's making an artistic statement with these pieces, right?
Mm-hmm.
If we upload it onto these platforms and say we have a whole project, right? Each NFT might be like a 1 of 30, 1 of 35 or something, but they all have a narrative and a story. That's a new way to release music. That's, and what's great about NFTs specifically for multidisciplinary artists is it's a visual and auditory component because of the platform. It doesn't have to be. Right. But it has that capacity built into it already. Whereas if you're going to see a multidisciplinary performance, you might see some level of multiple artists working together. Whereas this one, it really allows singular artists to explore all of those possibilities. And yeah, I think so when you purchase these, right, and when you identify with them, you're buying into these communities sometimes, or you're just collecting artwork because you like this artist. You can also come at it from the investor standpoint. If this is a decentralized way to protect your investments and grow your investments and grow your community, grow your business. Just so many applications. It's like if I was going to an art gallery and say I purchased a Monet fat chance, but
$18 million.
Exactly. I purchased a Monet, right? I bring that piece and that joins my private collection, or I loan it to tours of his collections, right? But if it's in my private collection, it's in my home. Only the people that I bring to my home can see it. What's really cool, and that doesn't really do anything for Monet. I mean, also, he's deceased, but
right.
If Monet was alive, right, it wouldn't necessarily do anything promotional for him for me to be bringing 1 or 2 people in my house. However, if he could keep his artwork in a platform where it will have exposure no matter whether people are walking in my house and the people that are walking in my house, all of a sudden that artist is opened up to the whole world.
Right. So it's kind of like gosh, this is so exciting. Like my brain is spinning right now because I didn't think about that part either. But not only is there a public record of people knowing that I've purchased this thing, and so therefore I am publicly supporting this artist. And if you would like to purchase it too, or then go find more things about this artist, like the creation and the selling of the NFT is not only a monetary benefit, but also a public statement that people are helping to make for supporting artists. And it's just, I love that analogy because it is true. And we know that, when you buy a piece of art or something like that and you hang it in your home, it's like, I need to invite people over now so they know that I have this. Or like, I need to take a picture, put it on Instagram or something so they know that I have this piece of art.
You're like, I have a Kiki Smith print. What do I do?
Right? That's really awesome. Okay, so talk to us a little bit about how about OmniArts and how OmniArts is getting involved in NFTs in a way, and maybe even just a little bit about OmniArts in general.
Yeah, absolutely. For anybody who doesn't know, OmniArts is a 501c3 that my collaborators and I started in 2018. We founded, and we've just been, growing it. We're actually, I knew that we were niche. I didn't quite realize how niche we were.
Oh, yes. You were telling me this the other day. This blows my mind.
Yeah, this freaked me out too. We are the only organization in America doing what we're doing for multidisciplinary and interdisciplinary artists with that express purpose. So OmniArts, I guess what's unique about our approach is that we're not just trying to focus on education from a multidisciplinary art perspective, but we're also trying to develop and create new projects. We're creating new artwork. We're creating new performative artwork through our events. And then on top of that, we're working on educational programs. And so we're kind of approaching it from all of these different vantage points. And there's a lot of organizations that will teach, multiple disciplines or have space or grants or funding for multidisciplinary collaboration. There's even interdisciplinary degree programs.
Yeah.
But it's not quite specifically for art, specifically for creating more dialogue and vocabulary between artists, because I don't know if you felt this way, Jillian, but like my experience has been that one of the biggest barriers is simply just language. Like we're all trying to just communicate with the terms that we know and from the vantage point of our art form. And what I really want to keep creating with Omni Arts are spaces for us to develop a bigger dialogue and a bigger vocabulary so we can really talk cross-disciplinary, and that those multidisciplinary collaborations are fostered and they're not mystified.
Yes. And I think that there's, the fact that you brought up that you are the only foundation who specifically has this goal in mind, that's your specific mode of functioning in the United States. It shocked me so much at first, but then when I thought about, the career path that I had in the performing arts as a classical vocalist, and then the ways in which I used my art and my talent, there was never, or at least, and I don't think it was out of like a malicious thing or like a segregation thing, but within the arts industry, but there just wasn't this attitude of, let's find ways in which we can collaborate with artists of different disciplines, and how you might be able to, create some sort of recital that included, some sort of visual artist or even other kinds of live performers. And
totally,
it's so cool when you started seeing during COVID, people just kind of doing that of their own volition, particularly with visual video media and music, because they were like desperate to kind of find some sort of way to get people involved and interested in just not just the music, but also having that visual aspect to it. And I think like the timing is so interesting now that we're seeing so much of it. People are realizing how much fun it is, but there does need to be support there to make that happen. Like if I, want to do something like, I don't even know any artists. Like, I mean, I know you know. But like, how do you even reach out? How do you even find people? How to, put it together?
Right.
It's really incredible.
Yeah, just building a community. I mean, there's wonderful organizations that have like multidisciplinary communities. One of the biggest that comes to mind is Fractured Atlas, because Omni Arts, we've developed a fiscal sponsorship program in the last year and a half, and that has allowed us to sponsor help projects for multidisciplinary artists or of a multidisciplinary nature. And we're doing this fiscal sponsorship like Fractured Atlas, who has this incredible network of artists, many artist groups and collaborators. And so, I think it always comes down to like, how do we communicate with each other and what's the message we're trying to get across? And I think that whole process, the interest is there. Everyone wants to work together. We see that the possibilities with technology are now more expansive than ever. And so now is the time, I feel like, to really be equipping young artists with the tools and the dialogue and the community necessary to see their projects to fruition.
I think that's amazing. So are there any projects coming up on the horizon that you have a particular interest in or particular passion for, either through Omni Arts or that you're doing personally, that subscribe to that multidisciplinary thing that we can keep an eye out for?
Yeah, absolutely. So the show that I've created is called Records. This is kind of my own personal project. And
yay, Records.
Yes,
so
Records.
Cool.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, it's so much fun. It's really a dream come true. I'm so grateful to all of my collaborators and the museums that I work with that have made this possible. The Morris Museum being the most recent place that we had a performance. And basically what we do is what I do. I build paintings and sculptures and then perform and finish them in the performance. And this all came from the idea of, synesthesia and my experience as a visual artist in music school, hearing all of these art song cycles and stories, and just basically saying, okay, how do I translate that visually? Not only the color of the music, the texture of the music, right? Is this charcoal? Is this watercolor? Is this, but how do we, in the actual physical artwork, map the story that's being told in the lyrics? So that records is definitely happening, and we're doing actually some performances of records through OmniArts, but it's mostly an independent project. And then through OmniArts, I'm very, very, very excited about some of the new collaborations that we have coming up. Just really exploring on the topic of what it is to be American, what it means to be American, and how we as Americans can create new American narratives. And so we have a couple different ways in which we're exploring this with new song commissions, physical artwork commissions, and we're exploring now the possibility of NFT collections of NFT.
That's right.
Yeah. I like everybody else am skeptical of many parts of the community, and I'm reliant upon experts, and I'm just learning. And that's what I think is really cool about this community, is if you do your homework, the door's open for you. People want to support you. They want to bring nonprofits into the space.
Yeah.
It's also ideal for what we're doing. So like the application that I think of immediately is we have a gala event, which will be our first, hopefully, live event. We haven't done live events since COVID. We decided, have everything stay. Yeah. Just for the safety. We're a small organization, and we know a lot of organizations doing live performative events. So, but we're hoping to have our gala event in the fall. If all goes according to plan.
Amazing.
Winter, yeah. And we're exploring the possibility of providing tickets to the gala event as NFTs. So everybody who attends would have an NFT ticket.
They'd have their first NFT. And that's a great way to kind of open the door and expose NFTs are and what they could be, and kind of demystify how, or at least they could say, NFTs, I don't even know, but I own one.
Right. It's in some wallet. I don't even know where it is.
Yeah. In the e-universe. And then, maybe I could. So I think that is very cool.
And we're going to use the event too as an educational opportunity, really walking people through what to do with these things and grace. And it's elective. I mean, if you really don't want anything to do with it, you don't have to. But ultimately, there will be certain NFTs if this project comes to fruition as is planned. There will be certain NFTs that are, being sold as one of ones, and that are the only copy of these new works. And so they're going to be very rare and things that I would probably advise holding on to, simply because of the artistic integrity of what's being developed. We have I'm working with many different artists right now, actually, on a new spirituals cycle. So multiple new works of new African-American spirituals that are animated and that are focused on perseverance and joy, and just, really starting to redefine what it is that we identify as American through these projects. So
that's really cool. And it's just another way in which people can interact with art. And it's like, it reminds me back when I was a teacher, school teacher. And you had to kind of learn, 4 or 5 different ways of teaching the same thing, because there are many different types of learners, right? Oh, yeah. There are different types of audience members and art consumers and art enjoyers. And I think that this really opens up the possibility to kind of grab the really tech savvy or forward-thinking audience that might not necessarily always be like, what am I going to do on a Friday night? I know I'll go buy a ticket to the Metropolitan Opera or something, but they might be interested in get exposure to the art form through these types of things and discovering them on the NFT universe and kind of hook them in there.
You're spot on. No, that's the goal. I mean, I think in my experience, there are a lot of companies, specifically from the opera, art song, classical vocal performance perspective, that are doing amazing work getting into their communities, into high schools with educational programs, but there still is these caricatures that we see all over the internet about opera singers. There's just generally, I feel like most, I don't know if you still have these conversations, but there's just like the constant, kind of explaining what the community is like, what the art form is like, that it is unamplified sound. You're not using a microphone, you're using your physical resonance that you were, God-given. And so it's, in my experience, there need to be, basically what I'm getting at is there needs to be more ways in which we engage people and which we preserve this classical vocal art form.
Yes.
And I think there is a huge space for this in animation. Actually, a very interesting artist working in the space is Lauren Michelle, who is an opera singer. And, Lauren is really developing lots of different recital programs and amazing, very interesting content. I highly recommend anyone interested in this checks out the projects that she's doing. She's investing a lot of time and effort and energy here. And yeah, I think it's just an exciting new space to explore. One thing I did want to say, I know we're kind of approaching on time.
No, it's fine.
It's just
this is for you. This is for us to learn about you and hear your thoughts and
cool.
Everything.
Yeah. So basically, I think that it's really important for everybody interested in getting in the space to do their homework. There's a lot of misinformation out there. And also there's environmental concerns with NFTs. It's not necessarily energy efficient, blockchain and cryptocurrency in general. And so a lot of artists who I know who are socially responsible, socially conscious, environmentally conscious are like hard pass with NFTs. And I get that. I think that advances in quantum computing is going to change that in the next 10 years. And that's why I really feel strongly that if you are an artist working right now, you're interested in working with collaborators, that you just start to engage with the community. Don't shut it out. You don't have to like it. You don't have to love it or want to be in the space, but definitely learn about it, because I really don't think it's going anywhere. It reminds me of like Apple products and the dawn of the information era, So it feels very much like that, where there's all these new applications that are outside of artwork, that are outside of trading, that have to do with contracting, that have to do with, investments that I think are worth looking into and creating some kind of a dialogue and open mind around.
Absolutely. And actually, Amanda is going to be sending us some links for where you can actually get some information if you want to continue reading and learning about NFTs and how they're created and all that kind of stuff. There's a lot of information to digest. I've done some reading on my own, and I'm really glad that we were able to talk about that, and I could actually ask somebody a couple of questions. But we highly recommend, we're going to be linking those in the description below and over on certain different platforms. And so we really recommend everybody being able to, like Amanda said, click on those, read them, just get familiar with it, because it is really exciting. And there are certain things about it that I think can really develop into ways that artists can really utilize to enhance the way they engage with audience, enhance the way that they can, I mean, let's be real, profit off of their art, because that is a concern, and to tiptoe around that, I think is just kind of is a little naive. So we need to talk about that, and then how we can expand our audiences and just create new cool stuff. I mean, like the more technology is, the more cool stuff we get to do. So
yeah, I mean, like opera singers and animators and illustrators with full.
I mean, I've got so many ideas going through my head right now about cool things we can do. So awesome. Well, I wish we could talk about this for hours, but we are at time. So thank you so much, Amanda, for being with us today. For anybody who is trying to watch on Instagram, sorry, my phone freaked out and that is gone, but we will download this video and post it on Instagram later for you to watch. And our next Meet the Studio Talk will be mid-March with a very special guest, which is to be yet announced. So we'll leave that a secret. And if you want to check out any of Amanda's work, we will link her website as well, amandaaustin.org, and the Omni Arts Foundation, which is getting a new website, but the current one still exists. So you can check that out as well. Awesome. Thank you so much, Amanda. I really appreciate you being here today.
Thank you, Jillian. Oh, it's such a pleasure and an honor. And I love the community that you're fostering and everything that's happening with Lexicon Classics. It's just artists really making new stuff in the world and staying a part of this community. It's really exciting. So
fighting the good fight, keeping it alive. All right, thank you so much, Amanda. We'll see you next time.
All right, bye.
Bye.